Nobody knew that Hillary Clinton was about to save Donald Trump's life. The call came at 3:47 a.m. on a Thursday night in October, just 3 weeks before the midterm elections. Hillary stared at the encrypted phone buzzing on her nightstand, the same military-grade device she'd used for classified communications as Secretary of State. The caller ID showed only a string of numbers, but she recognized the pattern immediately. CIA Emergency Protocol. She had been having trouble sleeping lately, her mind constantly replaying the events of 2016, wondering if she would ever truly escape the shadow of that devastating loss. At 75, Hillary Clinton was supposed to be enjoying retirement, writing memoirs, giving speeches to friendly audiences. Instead, she felt like a ghost haunting the corridors of American power, forever marked as the woman who couldn't beat Donald Trump. Mrs. Clinton, the voice on the other end was urgent, professional, with an undertone of barely controlled panic. This is Agent Sarah Chen, NSA Counterintelligence. We have a code black situation developing. You need to see this immediately. Lives are at stake. Hillary's blood went cold. Code black was the highest level of national security alert, reserved for imminent threats to American democracy itself. Nuclear attacks, foreign invasions, terrorist plots targeting multiple cities simultaneously. But why would they call her? She was a private citizen now, her political career effectively over, her security clearance revoked years ago. 20 minutes later, Hillary sat in the back of an unmarked black sedan, racing through the empty streets of Washington, D.C. The city looked different at this hour, shadows deeper, monuments more ominous, as if the Capitol itself was holding its breath. Her mind was spinning with possibilities, each one worse than the last. The car pulled into an underground garage beneath a building she didn't recognize. No signs, no identification, just concrete walls and fluorescent lights that cast everything in a sickly green glow. Agent Chen, a woman Hillary had worked with during some of her more sensitive diplomatic missions, met her at the elevator. Chen looked like she hadn't slept in days, her usually immaculate appearance replaced by coffee stains and worry lines. "Ma'am, what I'm about to show you, it changes everything," Chen said as they descended deeper underground. "I need you to prepare yourself. This is going to be difficult to process." The elevator dropped for what seemed like minutes, passing floors that didn't exist on any building schematics. When the doors finally opened, Hillary stepped into what looked like the command center from a science fiction movie. Dozens of analysts worked at computer stations with multiple screens. Satellite feeds showed real-time surveillance from around the globe. And in the center of it all was a wall-sized display that made Hillary's heart stop. But the shocking part was yet to come. The massive screen showed a detailed assassination plot targeting Donald Trump. This wasn't some angry citizen's rant on social media or a vague threat from a disgruntled voter. This was a sophisticated military operation planned with surgical precision. Sniper positions calculated to the inch, escape routes timed to the second, communication intercepts showing months of preparation, financial transfers totaling millions of dollars. Professional, international, and scheduled to happen in exactly 72 hours. "Jesus Christ," Hillary whispered, staring at the intelligence briefings that covered every aspect of the operation. "Who's behind this?" Agent Chen pulled up another screen, and Hillary felt the floor disappear beneath her feet. The digital fingerprints pointed directly to a shell company registered in her name. Financial transfers from accounts linked to the Clinton Foundation. Communication intercepts that appeared to show her authorizing payments to foreign operatives. Email records documenting her supposed coordination with international assassins. "That's impossible," Hillary said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I never authorized any of this. I never even heard of half these people." "We know," Chen replied quickly, "but someone has gone to extraordinary lengths to make it look like you're orchestrating Trump's assassination. The evidence is so comprehensive, so detailed, that any investigation would conclude you masterminded the entire operation. And when Trump dies, all of this evidence will be released simultaneously through multiple channels." The room fell silent, except for the hum of computers processing terabytes of data and the distant sound of secure printers spitting out classified documents. Hillary stared at the screens, her decades of political experience warring with a growing sense of terror. Someone was playing a game so sophisticated that it made Watergate look like amateur hour. "There's more," Chen said, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "We've intercepted additional communications suggesting this isn't just about killing Trump. Whoever's behind this wants to trigger a complete collapse of American democracy. Make it look like Democrats are willing to murder Republicans to maintain power. Your assassination of Trump would be the spark that ignites a civil war." Hillary's hands clenched into fists as she absorbed the full implications. After everything she'd endured, investigations, accusations, conspiracy theories, death threats, someone was now trying to frame her for the ultimate political crime. But this wasn't just about destroying her reputation anymore. This was about using her as a weapon to destroy America itself. And this is where everything changed. The assassination was meticulously planned for Saturday evening at Trump's rally in Phoenix, Arizona. The location had been chosen with scientific precision. A swing state with high political tensions, a venue with multiple sniper positions, and an audience composition guaranteed to explode into violence when news of Hillary's supposed involvement broke. The plan was elegant in its brutality. A coordinated sniper attack would kill Trump during his speech, followed by the immediate release of evidence implicating Hillary Clinton. Within hours, the country would erupt into chaos that would make January 6th look like a peaceful protest. Trump supporters would demand blood. Democrats would claim they were being framed. The military would be forced to choose sides, potentially triggering the collapse of constitutional government. "Who else knows about this?" Hillary asked, studying satellite images of the Phoenix Convention Center. "Just our team and the director," Chen replied. "We can't trust anyone else right now. The operation has been planned too perfectly, with too much inside knowledge of both Democratic and Republican intelligence networks. Someone with access to the highest levels of government has been feeding information to whoever's orchestrating this." Hillary studied the screens with the same intensity she had once brought to foreign policy crises and Senate hearings. She had spent decades navigating political minefields and international conspiracies, but this was different. This wasn't about winning elections or advancing policy. This was about preventing the destruction of American democracy itself. Chen brought up photographs of the assassination team. 5 men, all military age, all with specialized training in long-range shooting and urban warfare. Their backgrounds read like a recruitment brochure for international terrorism: former Russian Spetsnaz, British SAS, Israeli Mossad, American Navy SEALs, French Foreign Legion. Someone had assembled an all-star team of professional killers. "They're already in Phoenix," Chen continued, pulling up hotel records, flight manifests, and rental car agreements. Everything checked out perfectly because someone provided them with flawless documentation. And after they kill Trump, they disappear forever while you take the blame for organizing the entire operation. You haven't even seen the biggest surprise yet. But as Hillary spent the next hour studying the intelligence files, something began to bother her. The plot was too perfect, too comprehensive, too convenient. The evidence against her was too detailed, too neatly packaged. Someone wanted this to look like her operation, but they had made subtle mistakes that only someone with her experience would notice. "Agent Chen," she said slowly, "pull up the financial records again. I want to see the exact timing of every transaction." Chen's fingers flew across the keyboard, bringing up banking records, cryptocurrency transactions, and wire transfer logs. Hillary studied them with the same methodical approach she had once used to analyze intelligence reports on foreign adversaries. "There," she said, pointing to a specific transaction. "That payment was made on March 15th to a Swiss account, but according to this communication intercept, I supposedly authorized the operation on March 12th. How do you pay assassins 3 days before you hire them?" Chen's eyes widened as she saw the discrepancy. Someone made an error in their timeline. Hillary nodded grimly, her political instincts fully engaged now. "And there are others. Look at the hotel bookings in Phoenix. The assassination team supposedly scouted locations 2 weeks ago, but satellite images show the sniper positions were only modified 5 days ago. Someone is running this operation in real time and trying to backdate the evidence to frame me. They worked through the night, finding inconsistencies and logical gaps in what had initially appeared to be ironclad evidence. Each discovery confirmed Hillary's growing suspicion. Whoever was behind this had access to intelligence systems from both political parties, but they were operating under extreme time pressure. This wasn't a long-term foreign operation. This was domestic betrayal happening at the highest levels of government. The deeper they dug, the more disturbing the pattern became. Communication logs showed coordination between intelligence officials from both Democratic and Republican administrations. Financial records revealed money flowing between government contractors and private security firms. The assassination plot was just one part of a larger operation designed to destabilize multiple aspects of American government simultaneously. Wait a second. Don't miss this detail. At 4:30 a.m., with less than 72 hours before the assassination, Hillary made the most difficult decision of her political life. She picked up a secure phone and dialed a number she hadn't called in years, a number she had hoped never to call again. The phone rang 3 times before a familiar voice answered, groggy with sleep but instantly alert. Trump. Donald, it's Hillary. Don't hang up. Someone is going to try to kill you in Phoenix, and they're trying to frame me for it. Silence on the other end of the line. Hillary could almost hear Trump's mind working, trying to process what she was telling him while deciding whether this was some elaborate prank or political trap. Hillary, what the hell are you talking about? Do you know what time it is? Listen to me very carefully, she said, her voice carrying the authority she had once used to negotiate with foreign leaders. In exactly 43 hours, during your rally at the Phoenix Convention Center, a team of professional assassins will attempt to kill you. The operation has been planned to look like I ordered your assassination. When you die, the evidence will be released immediately, and it will start a civil war. More silence. Hillary could hear Trump moving around, probably getting out of bed, possibly reaching for another phone to record the conversation. She didn't blame him. If their positions were reversed, she would do the same thing. Why would you warn me? He asked finally, his voice carrying a note of genuine confusion. Because whoever's behind this isn't just trying to kill you. They're trying to destroy our entire democratic system. They're using both of us as weapons against each other, and I'll be damned if I let them succeed. Trump was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice had lost its usual bluster and bravado. What do you need from me? Hillary felt a strange sensation wash over her. Relief mixed with fear, mixed with something she hadn't expected. Respect for her former opponent's ability to recognize the gravity of the situation. I need you to trust me, Donald. I know that sounds impossible after everything we've been through, but right now, we might be the only 2 people who can stop this. The conversation continued for another 20 minutes as Hillary outlined what they had discovered and what needed to be done. Trump asked sharp questions, challenged her analysis, and gradually came to understand the full scope of the threat they were facing. What you've seen so far is nothing. The next 36 hours were unlike anything either politician had ever experienced. Working through back channels, encrypted communications, and trusted intermediaries, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump began coordinating what they privately called Operation Unthinkable, a secret alliance between America's 2 most famous political enemies. Hillary provided intelligence analysis and strategic planning, using skills she had developed during her years as Secretary of State. Trump contributed his extensive security team and detailed knowledge of the Phoenix rally logistics. Together, they started building a counter-operation that would expose the real conspirators while keeping Trump alive. But they quickly discovered they were fighting an enemy more sophisticated than either had imagined. Every time they thought they had identified the people behind the assassination plot, new evidence would emerge pointing in a different direction. Government officials, foreign agents, corporate executives, even people within their own organizations. Everyone was a potential suspect or a potential target. It's like fighting smoke, Hillary told Agent Chen during a secure video conference from her home in Chappaqua. Every time we think we've grabbed onto something solid, it dissolves in our hands and reforms somewhere else. The breakthrough came from Trump's head of security, a former Secret Service agent named Marcus Webb. While reviewing security footage from Trump's previous campaign rallies, Webb noticed a pattern that had initially seemed insignificant. "Mrs. Clinton," he said during a three-way conference call, "I've been analyzing crowd compositions and surveillance footage from the last 6 Trump rallies. There's something strange. The same groups of people keep appearing in different cities, always positioned in optimal locations for surveillance, reconnaissance, or other activities." Hillary studied the photographs Webb had compiled. The faces were different, but the positioning was consistent, professional, deliberate. These weren't random Trump supporters. They were trained observers, studying every aspect of rally security and crowd dynamics. They've been using Donald's campaign events as a laboratory, she realized, studying his patterns, his security procedures, the way his team operates, the layout of different venues. This assassination isn't just a one-time operation. It's the culmination of months of intelligence gathering. Trump's voice came through the encrypted line. "So someone's been treating my rallies like a science experiment, figuring out exactly how to kill me most effectively." "More than that," Hillary replied, her mind racing through implications. "They've been waiting for the perfect storm, the right location, the right timing, the right political climate to ensure your death causes maximum chaos. Phoenix was chosen because it's a powder keg waiting to explode." You won't believe what happened next. With less than 24 hours before the Phoenix rally, Hillary made a decision that shocked everyone involved in the operation, including herself. She announced she would attend the rally in person. "Absolutely not," Trump said immediately when she told him during their final planning call. "If they're trying to frame you for my assassination, the last place you should be is at the scene of the crime. You'll be walking into a trap." "That's exactly why I need to be there," Hillary replied, her voice carrying the same determination that had driven her through decades of political battles. "Think about it, Donald. If I'm sitting in the front row when someone tries to shoot you, it becomes pretty difficult to argue that I organized the assassination. My presence there destroys their entire narrative." Agent Chen was even more vehemently opposed to the plan. "Mrs. Clinton, we still don't know who's ultimately behind this conspiracy. You could be walking into a scenario designed to kill both of you simultaneously." But Hillary had made up her mind with the same certainty that had driven every major decision of her career. She had spent decades being reactive, responding to attacks and accusations, defending herself against conspiracy theories and political enemies. For once, she was going to be proactive. They settled on a plan that was audacious in its simplicity. Hillary would disguise herself as a campaign volunteer and work at one of the merchandise tables positioned near the main stage. From there, she could observe the crowd, maintain communication with security teams, and serve as a living witness that she had nothing to do with any assassination attempt, just when they thought it was over. Saturday evening in Phoenix arrived with clear skies and temperatures in the mid-80s. The Phoenix Convention Center was packed with thousands of Trump supporters, dozens of media personnel, and what Hillary now knew were carefully positioned observers working for unknown enemies of American democracy. Hillary stood behind a table selling campaign merchandise, wearing a blonde wig, oversized sunglasses, and a bright red "Make America Great Again" hat that made her feel like she was wearing a costume in the world's most dangerous play. She felt ridiculous and terrified, but the disguise was working perfectly. Even enthusiastic Trump supporters buying T-shirts and buttons didn't recognize one of the most famous women in American politics. Through a nearly invisible earpiece hidden beneath her wig, she listened to communications between Trump's expanded security team and the CIA operatives monitoring the situation from multiple locations around Phoenix. Everything seemed normal, routine, exactly like dozens of other Trump rallies she had watched on television over the years. "Overwatch teams report normal crowd behavior," came Agent Chen's voice through the secure communication system. "No unusual movements detected. Suspected surveillance teams are maintaining their positions, but showing no signs of preparation for hostile action." But Hillary's political instincts, honed through decades of high-stakes situations, were screaming that something was fundamentally wrong. The crowd was too calm, too well-behaved, too orderly. Trump rallies were usually chaotic, energetic, unpredictable events where emotions ran high and anything could happen. This felt orchestrated, managed, controlled. That's when she noticed them. 3 men positioned at strategic points around the convention center, all wearing identical baseball caps and standing with the same military posture. They were trying to blend into the crowd, but their discipline betrayed them. They were too focused, too alert, too professional for ordinary Trump supporters. "Chen, I've got visual confirmation on 3 potential hostiles," she whispered into her collar microphone. "Section A near the main entrance, Section C by the media platform, and 1 more near the VIP seating area." "We see them," came the immediate reply. "Counter-surveillance teams are moving into position." But as Hillary continued observing the crowd with trained eyes, she realized the 3 men she had identified weren't the real threat. They were the distraction. While security focused on the obvious suspicious individuals, the actual danger was coming from somewhere else entirely. The voice on the phone was familiar, but her secure phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number that had somehow penetrated multiple layers of encryption. "Look up." Hillary tilted her head casually toward the ceiling of the convention center, scanning the rafters and support structures that most people never noticed. High above the crowd, barely visible among the metal beams and lighting equipment, she caught the unmistakable glint of a rifle scope. A sniper, positioned directly above the stage where Trump would be speaking in less than 10 minutes. Her blood turned to ice water as she realized the full scope of their enemy's sophistication. The assassination team wasn't positioned in the crowd where security was focused. They were above it, with a perfect sightline to both Trump's podium and the merchandise area where she was standing. She keyed her microphone with hands that were surprisingly steady. "Sniper confirmed in the ceiling rafters, directly above the main stage. Repeat, we have a confirmed sniper threat from above." Chaos erupted in her earpiece as multiple security teams tried to process this new information and coordinate a response. But Hillary knew they were running out of time. Trump was already walking toward the stage, waving to the enthusiastic crowd, completely unaware that death was waiting directly above him. Without thinking, Hillary abandoned her merchandise table and started pushing through the tightly packed crowd toward the stage area. She had to warn Trump directly, had to get him away from that deadly position before the sniper could complete his mission. "Trump!" she shouted, pulling off her wig and sunglasses as she fought through the crowd. "Donald, get down! Sniper!" The Trump supporters around her gasped and pointed as they recognized Hillary Clinton running toward their candidate. But before anyone could fully process what was happening, the sharp crack of rifle fire erupted from above. Hillary tackled Trump with the full force of her body just as the first shot rang out, both of them crashing to the floor behind the podium as Secret Service agents swarmed the stage area. More shots followed in rapid succession, but they were aimed at the ceiling now. Security teams had located the sniper's position and were returning fire with automatic weapons. Lying on the stage floor with her arms protectively around Donald Trump, Hillary whispered, "I told you someone was trying to frame me." Trump looked at her with an expression she had never seen before, genuine gratitude mixed with complete bewilderment. "Hillary, what the hell are you doing here?" "Saving your life," she replied, brushing debris from the ceiling tiles off his suit jacket, "and probably saving my own in the process." Even the strongest man once faced a moment like this. The dramatic arrest of the sniper revealed only the tip of a conspiracy that reached levels none of them had imagined. The assassin was indeed a foreign operative with connections to multiple intelligence services, but he wasn't working for any government. Instead, he was employed by a private organization that specialized in creating political chaos for profit, a shadow company that made money by destabilizing democracies around the world. Their business model was elegantly simple and horrifyingly effective. Identify political divisions in target countries, then deliberately escalate those divisions through carefully orchestrated crises that generated massive profits for defense contractors, private security companies, and disaster capitalism firms. The Trump assassination wasn't just about killing one man. It was about creating a crisis so severe and long-lasting that it would generate billions of dollars in revenue from the resulting chaos. Hillary's framing had been designed to ensure the crisis would be as divisive and destructive as possible. By making it appear that Democrats were willing to assassinate Republicans, The conspirators would have triggered a cycle of political violence that could have lasted for years, providing endless opportunities for profit from weapons sales, security contracts, and reconstruction efforts. In the weeks following the Phoenix incident, Hillary and Trump worked together through secure channels to expose the entire network. Their joint investigation revealed connections to private military companies, foreign intelligence services, corrupt government officials in both political parties, and corporate executives who profited from international instability. What would you have done in his place? Standing together at a joint press conference 2 weeks after Phoenix, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump faced a room full of stunned reporters and photographers who could barely believe what they were witnessing. The story they told seemed like something from a political thriller novel. America's two most famous political enemies had saved each other's lives and exposed a conspiracy that threatened the very foundation of democratic government. Politics in America has become so toxic that we've forgotten something fundamental, Hillary said, looking directly into the cameras. We may be political opponents, we may disagree on almost everything, but we're Americans first. And when America itself is under attack, party labels and personal grudges don't matter. Trump nodded beside her, his usual bombastic demeanor replaced by something more thoughtful and measured. Hillary Clinton saved my life when she could have stayed quiet and let them kill me. She could have watched my supporters blame Democrats for my death and used that chaos to advance her own political agenda. Instead, she risked everything to warn me and stop a conspiracy that would have torn our country apart. The questions from reporters came in a relentless barrage. How had they managed to coordinate their response? What did this partnership mean for the future of American politics? Would they continue working together? We'll probably never agree on policy, Trump said with a slight smile. We'll probably go back to criticizing each other's ideas tomorrow, but we've proven something important. When the stakes are high enough, Americans can put aside their differences and defend what matters most. Hillary smiled, the first genuinely warm smile anyone had seen from her in years. Sometimes the person you trust least in the world is the only one who can save you. Donald and I learned that the hard way, but I think we're both better people for the experience. Everyone thought the truth was revealed, but the real shock was, 6 months after Phoenix, the unlikely partnership between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump had evolved into something nobody in Washington could have predicted. A bipartisan commission dedicated to identifying and stopping foreign interference in American democracy. They disagreed on almost everything, argued constantly during meetings, and drove their respective staffs crazy with their competing visions for how to protect the country. But they also achieved something remarkable: the most comprehensive investigation into political corruption and foreign manipulation in American history. Their joint task force exposed networks of hostile foreign agents, corrupt government officials, and private organizations that had been manipulating American politics for decades without most people even knowing they existed. The Phoenix incident had created an alliance that transcended traditional party lines and personal animosities. Other longtime political enemies began following their example, choosing cooperation over conflict when national security issues were at stake. The toxic atmosphere that had poisoned American politics for years began to slowly improve as people remembered that democracy depended on the ability to disagree without destroying each other. Late at night, in secure conference rooms far from cameras and reporters, Hillary and Trump would sometimes reflect on how close America had come to destroying itself through manufactured hatred and artificial divisions. The assassination plot hadn't just targeted Trump personally. It had targeted the idea that democracy could survive fundamental disagreements about policy and leadership. "You know what's ironic?" Trump said during one of their private strategy meetings. "Whoever tried to kill me probably did more to unite this country than any politician has managed in decades." Hillary laughed, a genuine, unguarded laugh that reminded both of them that politics didn't have to be a blood sport. They tried to start a civil war and ended up proving that Americans are stronger and smarter than they thought. The most powerful weapons in the world, division, hatred, fear, and manufactured outrage, couldn't stand against two people who were willing to risk everything for something bigger than their own political ambitions. Even people who had spent years as bitter enemies could find common ground when the stakes were high enough. That night at the Phoenix Convention Center didn't just prevent an assassination or expose a conspiracy. It reminded America that democracy isn't about winning or losing. It's about protecting the system that allows us to disagree without destroying each other in the process. And it all started with a 3:47 a.m. phone call that nobody saw coming.